Hi and welcome back to the channel. And what I want to talk to you about today is the takeaway or the movement away from the ball. Okay, it's an area that does get discussed quite a bit, but it's important that you work on it as a player. And if you want to improve your golf, if you start correctly and get the club moving away properly, the rest of the swing sort of falls into place. And it's really important that you work on this. So I'm going to sort of discuss to you some of the things that we see, and then we'll discuss to you how you should do it and what should happen, and then some of the ways that you can practice it as well. So come on, let's go do it. Okay, so some of the issues that we tend to see with the movement away from the ball is the most common one that we tend to see golfers have an issue with is they have a tendency to sort of allow the club head to roll behind the hands too soon. Okay, the club will pivot past your hands, but it's too soon to do it right at the beginning because there's nowhere else for the club to go. It's only ever going to ride up your back and then go over the top. All right, and coupled with that, we generally see people have a tendency to roll the forearm as well. And there's other reasons for that, but they have a tendency to just sort of roll the club face in an open position here, ride it up their back, and then come over the top. All right. We want to see, if you watch most of the top players out there in the world, especially nowadays, they have a tendency to keep the club head outside their hands. And there's reasons for that. All right. It's going to get the momentum of the club working properly because the club can then pivot over my hands and then come underneath instead of going underneath to over. So it's really important that you practice this. And the other one that we tend to see sometimes as well is a separation of the arms. They have a tendency sometimes as they take the club back to stretch and separate the arms away from themselves. They're trying to create, they read that maybe they should keep the swing nice and wide going back or have extra width as they swing back and hold the angle and hold this triangle as they talk about. Well, they try to hold it too long and they try to chase the club down the line of the target and they get separation up going here. Well, that's no good because then you then have to connect again and then disconnect, and it's really complicated. It makes it harder to do. So ideally from this position here, what we're trying to do is try to initiate the swing so that it sort of all flows together really to a certain degree. And I like to get a feeling that the butt end of the club here is sort of traveling at the same time as the club head, and I'm trying to keep the butt end of the club in while I keep the club head out. Okay, and I'm trying to move everything together as I swing back. All right, and it's really, really important that you feel that. It's only for the first few feet of the swing, to be honest, but from here you can see the moving everything away together. Now the club head's starting to come inside the line, okay, so it's swinging on the natural arc, but you can still see that the butt end of the club is still pointing towards my right thigh, and the club face is still at an angle. It's still 90 degrees to my swing path, all right, which is important. And also the club head is outside my hands. Okay, this is going to now allow me to hinge the wrist up and get the club swinging on the right plane going backwards. Okay, if I'm going from in here, it's almost impossible to reroute it, if that makes sense. So you just want to sort of practice that and rehearse that. And there are some great drills that you can do to practice this. One of my favourite drills is the split grip drill. I like to sometimes feel as though the right hand splits down the handle, and I just sort of practice taking it back, and my right arm stays extended, and I can feel everything move away from with my gut. All right, this is going to help me from here to swing it on the right path. An old classic one that you can do, I mean, this is one that Faldo did, gosh, way back in, I think it was 89 when he released his famous VHS video, On Course with Faldo, whatever it was called. And he used to practice it putting the club head into his belly button, all right, and then grip down the handle, and then just practice turning everything away together, okay, maintaining that relationship. So he used to hover that over the ball, turn everything back. Now if he did it wrong and he rolled it back, the butt end of the club would come away from his belly button. So he'd practice that going back and through and really getting that feeling of linkage. I mean, gosh, how many kids in the 90s, I was one of them, practiced that for hours, okay, just thinking that was the real key to it all. What it also does as well is it keeps the club head sort of in a nice wide arc, as it would call, but I'm not overstretching it. Okay, and it's really, really important. So they're two that you can do to help that. My coach and mentor, Mike Malaska, likes to talk about how the handle goes down and the club head comes up. Okay, so you create this sort of motion here as you swing back. This keeps the club head outside the hands. Then the club can pivot over my hands to then swing down on the right path. All right. He does a drill where he will hinge the wrists upwards to this position here, and then feel the butt end of the club and the handle move together. Here, go back, and then feel it go over my hands to then swing down and through. So there's different ways to do it, but that's really one of the key things, is to feel everything sort of moving together and sort of staying linked. There's also other different devices that you can have as well. There's training aids. I've got this one here. It's quite a good training aid, to be honest with you. It's the I'm not sponsored by them, by the way. It's called the Straightaway. You've probably seen it. There's been a lot of talk about it on media. It's a lead-better device. It's quite a simple device, really. You can see it's for right-handed and also left-handed. It's got this like yellow arrow on top, and this is to help you to keep the club moving back on the right path. And it's quite easy to attach. You basically just click it onto your club. Okay, pop these little things in, tighten them up. Okay, and you can position it down here. So what I've done here, you can see, if I stand here, you can see the device sits like so. I've got it in line with the club face. I can tighten it up now that I've got it in line. Alright, so I've got it tight here. That's it. So it's not going to move much really from there. Alright, so that's the sort of thing that I'm looking at as I'm swinging down. Can you see that from there? Okay, right, so it's a great little device. And I've got a shaft on the ground which is sort of near my toe line. And I'll just make it go offline. So what I can do from here is I can practice just swinging the club back. And what I'm doing here is I'm taking the club head back, and this yellow line here that I can see now matches up with my yellow line. It runs parallel to that shaft line, that shaft I've got on the ground. Okay, if I had it more in line with my toes, really, or on my toes, it probably would be a little bit better, because if I take it back, that's now almost running in line with it. Okay, it's just a great little device just to feel how everything moves away together and stops me from rolling in. Because if I roll this around here now, this line is now pointing over here to the right hand side. It's a visual that I can see. All right, so I'm just going to feel like I just take the club back to this position here. Now there's one of the things that you can do, which I've sort of have gotten into doing, and I quite like it, is just to sort of take the club back, stop, and then swing up and hit the ball. Okay, because I'm starting from that, I've sort of taken the guesswork out of it. I've done the hard work, and then hit. But I'm sort of initiating everything with my belly button. I feel like I'm initiating as if I've still got the club stuck in my gut. So I'm just going to swing back, rehearse it, just feeling everything, just pushing back, feeling that movement, pushing back. Once I've done that a few times, then I'm going to swing back and swing through and hit it. So you can just practice that using little visual aids like this. Really does make a difference to sort of train it. So you need to have what's known as immediate feedback. When you get immediate feedback, which is what this provides, because the line matches up with what's on the ground, okay, I can see that, I can rehearse it, I can get a feel for it. And it's really important that you do that. You're just going to train it and just practice it and just keep rehearsing and rehearsing until you can't do anything else but that correct movement. Take it nice and easy, nice and slow. So back and through. I can really feel that make a difference when I'm swinging it. So it's really important that you spend a bit of time rehearsing the takeaway and the swing. Okay, how you do it, it's up to you. I've given you a few clues there, really, but how you practice that and what you find works for you. For me, I've been enjoying using this. It's been great, but I've really enjoyed hitting this. You can see it makes me strike the ball right out the center there when I do it. Hopefully you can pick that up. Can you see that? All right, so learning to take the club away is really important. It's something that most tour players work on quite a bit, to be honest with you, because it sets everything up. Like I said to you at the beginning, you start the club away correctly, the rest of it just falls into place. Anyway, I hope that's really helpful to you. Learn to take the club away correctly. Okay, use whatever devices you can do and try to improve your golf. I hope that helps, and thank you for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe to my channel. So if you want to catch up with some more, I've got some really exciting stuff coming up this year. So hopefully we're going to keep pushing and growing the channel. And I really appreciate your support, and please share with your friends, and I'll catch you next week.